Moving slowly toward the coast, Gulf Coast that is. Forecasters predict that the hurricane will brush near Louisiana and Mississippi and then hit near Alabama. Before continuing across North Florida, the storm is expected to make landfall as early as tomorrow. And yes, we're going to get a big rain event out of this tomorrow. Tomorrow's supposed to be the heavier rain day, and then it'll taper off as it gets into Wednesday and Thursday. But Friday looks to be sunny.
And how much rain we get, of course, will depend on the exact direction of this thing. They don't know for sure, but the worst we're going to get out of it is rain.
Yes, that's correct.
Unless you watch news after a while and they try to convince you that it's coming right at us.
You think so?
Because it may hit Mobile and bounce over Georgia and right into the
just
harbor.
Hop right over there. Huh?
The problem is they got a whole bunch of those hurricane tracking charts left over.
Yeah, they got to do something with them.
They got to get rid of them.
Well, this is the first one of the Atlantic season.
You think about it. We've had some that are way out there, but this is the first one this year to
and
even
here
come close to the coast.
In the middle of the month. The hurricane season's over in 2 weeks.
Next year, they'll order less of those things.
Yeah, probably.
In other news, the U.S. military says 2 American pilots have died in a helicopter crash in Iraq. A military statement says 2 pilots were killed Sunday during a hard landing north of Baghdad. Senator Lindsey Graham is dismissing the House-passed health care bill as dead on arrival in the Senate. President Obama is urging the Senate to take the baton and bring this effort to the finish line. South Carolina is missing out on additional $100 million in federal stimulus dollars for unemployment benefits. The Post and Courier reports that the money is intended to cover more women and part-time low-wage workers who currently don't qualify for unemployment under current South Carolina law.
Apparently those laws were established back during the Depression in the 30s when women didn't work and part-timers, didn't really exist. So they don't apply to women or part-timers.
And that's the law we were talking about a couple of weeks ago that could have been changed?
No, this is a whole different set of things.
Okay.
And the legislature says that they really, at this stage of the game, don't want to change that law because that just means there are more people on the rolls and they don't have the money to pay the people that are on the rolls already. So,
wow. Incredible.
And once the stimulus money's gone, they're afraid they're going to get stuck with having to pay these women and part-timers down the road without the stimulus money. So that's why they have held off on. Meanwhile, 17,000 unemployed South Carolinians get no benefits.
That's right, no benefits. Go figure. The average price of gasoline in the United States is continuing to inch upward. The Lundberg survey says the price of regular is up nearly 3 cents over a 2-week period to $2.68. In sports, Clemson is getting its turn in the top 25. The Tigers are ranked in the AP poll at number 24 this week after beating Florida State 40-24. That's right. It's the first time the Tigers have been ranked under Coach Dabo Swinney. How about that? That's a big win for them over Florida State. That's cool. The chase for the Sprint Cup title has tightened up. Jimmy Johnson finished 38th yesterday in Texas after wrecking on the third lap of the race. Mark Martin is now 73 points behind Johnson. Kurt Busch won that race. The New Orleans Saints are 8-0 for the first time in club history after a come-from-behind 30-20 win over Carolina. I remember the days years ago when the Saints couldn't win a game.
No.
They could not win a game.
If the other team didn't show up, New Orleans would lose.
Well, I don't know if it was that bad.
I remember how bad they were.
Wow, that's pretty bad.
And
still lose.
The Indianapolis Colts remain the NFL's other undefeated team by escaping with a 2017 win in Houston. The Cowboys beat the Eagles in the late game in Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh plays at Denver in tonight's Monday night game.
Today, by the way, is the anniversary of the day that they announced the Colts were leaving Baltimore to go to Indianapolis.
Is that right?
What was the year?
I don't remember.
Was I alive?
Yeah.
Because that seems like I remember.
It hadn't been that long. I know it just made everybody real mad because they left over. Remember, they left in the middle of the night.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
They packed the bus up and took all the equipment and everything.
Like what, 20?
So the
15 years ago?
The news crews wouldn't be there to cover them sneaking out of town.
I do remember that.
Wow.
You remember that? And then after all the big stink and everything, the Ravens ended up taking their place. But that was ugly for a little bit.
Wow.
You know what else today's the anniversary of? The first chunks of the Berlin Wall came down.
Oh, yeah.
20 years ago today.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
20 years ago today.
And now you can buy chunks of that on the internet.
Well, you could buy chunks of it about an hour after it started falling.
Really?
We didn't have internet, but I mean, you had to mail money to somebody somewhere, and they'd send you a box with a chunk of the wall in it.
And it may have just been something they.
Absolutely, you have no idea where that piece
It
of
didn't come with
concrete
a
came
certificate of authenticity.
from. They didn't even have those back then. It's 7:05.
Now, Weasel Time Saver Traffic.